quickly. It feels very American. He's making changes and he's improving things, and a lot of that is brilliant. But then there's always that worry that we're going to lose the family club.
Welcome back to the Lose to Win podcast with myself, Josh, and Jack. No Ben this week, but we do have another guest from our accredited is probably not the word, Bournemouth Man v Fat group, Mr. Adam White of the Oranges, mate. How are you doing, Ads?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Good to get you on, really. You've
amazing.
been on our list for a while, but as we'll round up, it does so happen that every single week we seem to get someone who's mentioned in the roundup, which is a bit of a coincidence, I should probably say.
Yeah.
In this case, it's not. But how have you been? How are things going?
Yeah, all good. Just plodding along. It's going to be an interesting weekend this weekend. I don't know. Friday, I should say. I'm not sure. It's going to be tight.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're playing the Purples, aren't you, this coming weekend? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, massive game.
No, right. Massive, indeed. It's the first game as well, I think. So I'm going to get down there early.
Is Adam playing his cards close to his chest there by saying it's going to be tight? He's not sure how it's going to go. I certainly would, but yeah, it should be very interesting.
Master tactician, isn't he? Who knows what he's got up his sleeve?
Yeah, you never know with Ben. Sneaky.
Yeah, it's a shame he's not here to discuss it, really. Although I'm sure, as you say, he probably wouldn't say much. But yeah, go from there. How are you doing then, Jack? As well? Are you doing right?
I'm okay, thank you, mate. Yeah. Played football for the first time last night. You boys were there, and all by kind of last 10 minutes I played. Just a little bit of a twinge, and that was enough for me to kind of realise, like, yeah, that's enough. I'm quite happy with the stint that I got out of it, and all is well today. And I've done my lads' training this evening and run around with the boys doing that as well. So, yeah, slowly but surely getting there. And
good,
yeah, it's just a relief to walk away there and not be hurt and in trouble. It was all good, mate. Thank you.
Oh, good.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I myself, it was all right. Yeah, I had an all right weekend. Not too bad. Nothing super special.
Yeah.
It's away a bit, but just ate quite a bit. Probably it's the wrong thing to do. Ate a bit too much, I think.
Was it away with family, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So
nice.
Just got things going and seeing some people I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
so
you don't miss many Fridays, do you? So this is probably the second season at least.
Yeah, actually it is the second this season, but I had gone like 2 or 3 seasons without missing a single week. So it's a bit of a strange one. But yeah. I say that. I say missed them as in I just physically wasn't there on the night. I've missed weeks through injury, but I've been there.
You've been there, that's right. That's what I mean,
yeah. So.
Yeah, nice, mate. So yeah, it's creeping ever closer. I'm just a couple of weeks away from being able to get back stuck into the Man v Fat stuff, and it's probably like I say, it's still a good membership. That's it. Yeah, it's still probably a good thing. I think wanting to work a little bit harder in games or pushing it a little too hard might flare it up. So yeah, taking it easy and just crazy busy with work as well. It's kind of like the last little push before people start buggering off on holidays, although I've had some out of offices today, some people that are chasing up on some bits and not back in the business until like the 2nd of Jan or whatever date it is. I think 2nd or 3rd of Jan. I think, and that's they've gone very early with it, but I guess if you can, why not?
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I was gonna say, in fact, actually, that's the same with me. Chris, I don't know about you, Adam, but Christmas is that time where it's just like from basically now onwards, I'm not going to get. I can try, but it's difficult to get older people to do things.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice to have a break anyway, and it coincides with us at Man v Fat to come back to a new season as well.
Yeah,
it's quite nice. I think some little birdie told me that there might be weigh-ins the other side of Christmas as our first weigh-in of the season, rather than.
Is this a confirmed little birdie?
No, well, there's not a confirmed little birdie. It genuinely is a rumour.
Unconfirmed little birdie.
That we may consider a weigh-in the other side of January as a first week back, rather than weighing yourself based on the end of this season as you're starting a week 1. If that makes sense. don't know if I really explained that very well. But we'll see. I could be completely off base there. It is a genuine rumour.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. For your interest in FPL, we are just finding out that Gabriel is not playing.
Yeah, Arsenal Man United tonight. Yeah.
So he's not even on the bench. So that leaked team is correct. So yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, just to go off topic a little bit. It's just come through. Just popped up.
I just get Greaves off the bench at one point, and then well. Anyway,
better than most, I reckon, mate. Probably.
Yeah, well, some, yeah, maybe. Anyway, we still do have 2 weeks left of Man v Fat Bournemouth for this season, and 2 titles were decided this last week. So congratulations to the Oranges and the Blacks, whose efforts this week guaranteed themselves top spots in respectively the Scales and the Pitch Leagues.
Yes.
The main league, though, title remains tantalisingly in the balance, as we mentioned, as a prelude to the Purples versus Oranges this week. So last week's results then. Us Yellows had, I think, our 3rd draw of the season. 7
overall, not on pitch. It was literally a
draw.
Our
3rd overall draw of the season.
It's crazy, isn't it?
7-0 with the Greens. The Whites unfortunately lost 14-7 against your Blues, Jack.
Yeah.
Were you there on Friday? Did you play?
I was. No, I can't play. Can I? No, but I was.
Oh,
there.
Of course.
I
weighed. Sorry. Yeah.
I weighed and I was there supporting the team.
The Oranges won with an unprecedented, I think it's a record-breaking score, genuinely, at Man v Fat Bournemouth, 33-8. It was 34, but I don't know, there was some sort of correction in there at one point, so I don't know, I can't remember what the correction was myself.
I think initially Steve missed off because we won the Steps Challenge that I'm sure we'll get onto. So he missed off those goals initially, but gave us perfect start last man standing goals, but then he realised he'd done it wrong, so then we lost the perfect start last man standing goals but kept the Steps Challenge goals, so
okay,
have a shuffle round.
Makes sense. Well, 33 I think is genuinely an unprecedented score. 33-8 against the Reds. That is just insane. Bolstered, as we said, by some milestones, some last man, and a challenge or two. So
you couldn't save it for next week, then, Adam.
I'm slightly concerned that we've blown our load.
You've gone early.
wanted to win, but I think we might have gone a bit hard. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe. The Blacks then lost 14-12 against the Purples was the other result, leaving the Purples in prime position. I think it is. If I'm could be mistaken, but they're top of the main league, aren't they still?
They are, yes, but the goal difference has been closed down. I'm sure Adam will know this off the back of his hand, but the goal difference has been dramatically sliced after last week's haul of goals. So yeah, it should be very interesting. It could have worked out very differently. You could have won by 1 goal last week and saved them all for Purples, but doing it the right way, I think that's probably the fairest thing to say on it.
Yeah. One result, as we mentioned, instantly jumps out with the Oranges scoring this sensational 33 goals against the Red 7. 7 came on the pitch, including 2 ringer penalty, by the way, incurred by the Reds, along with 6 bonus goals from last man standing and this week's Steps Challenge. That still leaves 20 goals to come from the Scales and Tracking. 10 out of the 11 Oranges lost weight with 3 hat-tricks and, more significantly, 3 milestones. So the Oranges thoroughly deserve the glut of goals this week, very much so. As you say, it might have been nice to spread it out a little bit, but we'll see. Elsewhere, the Blacks fought out a narrow 3-2 pitch win against the Purples, but with the Purples doing enough on the Scales to edge a main league win, both teams will probably feel they got the result they most wanted, with the Purples remain 2 points ahead of Oranges in the main league, although Oranges have taken a hefty chunk out of the goal difference, as we mentioned, and are now just 3 goals behind. And then the 2 teams face each other this week, as we mentioned as well, so for a title decider. Just a 3-goal swing. You just need to beat him by 3 goals, Adam. It's just...
Yeah. But the problem is we need. I have the last couple of weeks gone over this many times. We would have preferred a black win or a draw, to be fair, against the Purples, because then it would have been completely in our hands. 2 wins means we won it. Now we have to win twice, but we also need to better Purple's goal difference both weeks. So
that's what I was going to say. It's not actually a decider, is it? Because you've got the final week that could swing the other way.
It could be a decider for Purples. If they win, they've done it.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
But for us, we have to win and beat them.
Yeah, well, all you can do is just win the next two. That's all you can do in it, and hope. Obviously, if you do that, hope the Purples either you've got a better goal difference.
Do you know?
White. God. Of course, I know. Mate.
You have to get Ollie. Get Ollie and the boys on it.
Yeah.
I must say, Ollie the other night, he started in goal, and Blues were 2-0 up. He come out and scored a hat trick literally like straight away. And it was just incredible. Like he was like, no, can't get my words out. I'm having none of that. And then come out and did absolutely amazingly on pitch. So yeah, I'm sure he can rally the troops for you and get some scores under their belts as well.
Anyway, so 53 players lost weight out of the 72 in this last week. While some teams managed impressive collective losses, 5 out of the 8 went the wrong direction, unfortunately, this week, and the club as the whole only lost 3.6 kilos. The Oranges were the biggest losers, shifting 8.5 kilos, with 10 out of 11 losing weight. Purples were next with 7.5 kilos and 9 out of 10 losing weight, while Blues managed 4.9 kilos and 7 out of 9 losing weight. Purples have now lost 67.3 kilos this season, with Blues on exactly 50 kilos and Oranges just behind on 48.6 kilos. The Greens Reds have both lost just over 20 kilos, with the other teams on a more modest totals, and unfortunately one side is currently heavier than they were at the start of the season. The 3 milestone men, by the way, from the free-scoring Oranges, I should say. Steve Carlton enjoys his first taste of milestone glory, earning his 5% and sharing the limelight with 2 longer-serving teammates. Pete Courage has hit his 15%, having now lost more than 15 kilos since joining the club, and 8.3 this season alone. That's a fantastic achievement, and as is the latest success, Mr. Adam. How are you? Who joins the elite 20% club. Congratulations, mate. Losing 7.2 kg this season, and probably we'll get to it later. I should, but I'll say it now. To be fair, unless you want to tell the readers how much you've lost total.
Oh God, no, read the thing. I can't remember the exact number.
Okay,
it's something. I want to say.
Yeah, so 25.7 kilos, wow, which is very, very impressive since joining the club way back at the beginning. So well done to you, Adam, mate, Pete and Steve as well, for several weeks of absolutely smashing it. So we'll come back to you, Adam, on that one, but that's mightily impressive, I must admit. Mightily impressive. Also smashing it, albeit on a smaller scale, were the 19 hat-trick heroes we had this week, and all 10 survivors remained in last man standing and scored a bonus goal for their teams. There are 7 players with perfect records so far, with additional bonus goals up for grabs this coming week if they keep it going.
Do you have any of those, Adam? Do you have any perfects?
Of course they do.
We do.
How many?
We've got 3 perfect and 4 last man standing. So
4 overall.
Yeah. Basically, I'm in last man standing, but I don't have a perfect start.
I see.
Perfect start.
So this coming week, that's 7 goals if all of you stay in.
Yeah.
Sick.
God, the Purples are going to be absolutely bricking it.
Yeah.
But they have 2 in last man standing, but I don't know if they're both perfect starts or not.
No, I don't either. Yes, interesting. Very interesting.
That's the goal difference right there.
Yeah.
No way. I can't wait, honestly. The race for top scorer isn't quite what the website shows, unfortunately. A bug in the system means Gareth Hensby's correct score isn't being shown, but he should be on 17.5 goals and in pole position. So 5 players, Matt Waterman, Harry Reid, Josh Buxton, Pete Courage and Dave Durnley, are tied for second place on 16 goals. If any of them hit a milestone or go into maintenance in the next 2 weeks, that may yet snatch the golden tape measure from Gareth's skinny grip. However, there are obviously a couple of weeks to go, so we'll see.
Sadly, our guys can't because they've already maxed out Josh and Harry have maxed out, so they would have to do maintenance, which unfortunately is not within sight at the moment. So that's those two out of the running for it, sadly.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if Pete's close, or do you want to keep that one close to your chest, Adam?
I can see he's close. He's on this season. He's done 8.78, so he's not too far off 10%. It's just whether that's.
I don't know if it's a milestone of his. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's his milestone or not.
No, I think Pete's done a double milestone as well, to be honest.
Well, to be fair, he has. I was going to say it's more. I should really know. He was just mentioned that he had just passed his 15%. So I kind of think it's unlikely he's going to hit 20%
unless he's maintenance.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I'm
saying. Pete can't be far off maintenance.
Yeah, I don't know on that one. To be fair,
interesting.
But yeah, internally, I think we're pretty confident it's Gareth's to lose.
Yeah, nice, fair enough. That's fair play to him.
Yeah, he's been a monster this season.
Yeah.
The amazing loser race then for the season's biggest percentage loss is just as tight. So 6 players have lost more than 10% of their body weight this season, with James Hunt leading the way on 18.49%. That is not a typo, by the way.
No,
He's
that's
had a
crazy.
phenomenal season. 2 or 3 others could well hit double figures in the remaining fortnight, which shows what a superb season the club as a whole has enjoyed, at least so far. So James Hunt also leads Team of the Week, having dropped another 2.7 kilos. Nobody, not even Josh Buxton, unfortunately, retains their place from last time, although Josh has still enjoyed a decent loss, so there's no need to worry about that.
No. Josh has noticed as well, it's steps week, he doesn't lose loads. So he did like 125, 130,000 steps. And that's got to be because of the exercise element of it, where he's having to eat more because of the exercise he's doing. But he's also, I'm sure, building muscle and getting stronger in that sense. So that certainly has an impact on it. But he'll be back roaring, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I imagine he'll be back there next week, where he belongs. Don't we worry about that. What was I going to say? So that lineup then. So James Hunt leads with 2.7. Then we have Jimmy, who lost 1.9 kilos. Pete Courage lost 1.9 kilos to his 15%. Oscar Selleck-Pilley lost 1.8 kilos. Rob Hodge somehow managed to lose 1.8 kilos. Martin Boone lost 1.6. Harry Reid, lost 1.6. And yourself, Jack, made it into Team of the Week with 1.6 kilos. Very well done.
Second one of the season.
Hey, very good go, mate. Very good go. So 2 more weeks to go this season. So let's make them good ones. Christmas parties and work dues are starting to crop up. We noticed that. I don't know when you guys are, when you've got yours, but I think mine. All right, fair enough. Okay. I think mine's like 14th or something. Not the.
Yeah. So could be fucking season, but I've bailed. So.
Not 14th, sorry, because that's
I was going to say that's the foot. I was going to say double book, Joshua.
Yeah, no, that's around that, but it's
the only one I've got.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself with friends and colleagues, of course, but if you know there's an indulgent treat coming, think about how to adjust the rest of your week to balance it out. Enjoying Christmas, or the run up to it included, doesn't have to derail the rest of the year, so let's keep going all the way to week 14.
Absolutely.
Which I think, if I remember correctly, is the
13th.
So it should be the 13th,
Yeah.
So
we'll know for sure on the night of the 14th, the winning teams will be toasting themselves at the Christmas party, I'm sure, and the losing teams will be commiserating and drowning their sorrows. But it's come around so quick, isn't it? I can't believe that we're this close now to Christmas and this close to the end of the season. It's just been absolutely mental. So what we'll do is for the people that don't know Adam or about Adam's love of football, we'll do kind of the little icebreakers around your passion and the team you support, and we'll find out why, and then we'll do a bit of a deep dive into your journey so far. I'm sure it's going to be very an interesting one.
Before we do that, I do want to just quickly remark on the steps challenge.
Do it. Sorry, yes. I'm jumping ahead. I'm stepping ahead. So shit.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
That was terrible. Anyway, the step challenge. I'll keep it brief. It was very well done again from everyone involved. Very. I got genuinely fantastic engagement. Obviously, this time you're selecting the number of people involved in the steps challenge, rather, although I did hear of several people still involved doing as many as they could who weren't selected from their team. So they were still engaging. And that was kind of, I hoped, the added benefit of saying that you could select on the day, because then you could still have people engage in the challenge and not say, oh, I'm not part of the 5, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, I like
because
that,
in theory,
actually.
you could have been part of the
that
5.
way. Yeah.
Well, that was the idea, at least, but that seemed to be the case. But for the actual teams involved, we somehow managed another almost 3 million steps out of the 40 people, who, which is incredible. Really, really insane. 2.8.
Robbo was half of that, wasn't he?
yeah, right. 2,861,436 steps out of 40 people submitted. I should just say every single team submitted had over 10,000 steps a day per person on average. Submitted out of 10, so very well done. The team who were last on that list, just trying to think, still did, somewhere in the region of 50, an average of 50 odd thousand per person for the 5 days, 52 or 53,000. In terms of the top teams, though, your Oranges, Adam, managed to average 100,000 steps, 100,345 steps over 5 days. It should be remarked, by the way. So it's over 20k a day, which was absolutely insane. You yourself, Adam, were on that list. So, but 2 of your people were in the top 3. So no wonder for the most number of steps. The Greens themselves, thanks to our leader, who I'll come to in a second, had 86,323 average. And then the Blues were third in that for 80,988. So thanks to, again, some big scorers in your team. You were saying Josh Buxton did quite a few steps, over 100,000.
Yes, he absolutely smashed it.
Yeah. Having said that, I should say there are several people who did get over 100,000. So Jet Gander got over 107,000. Josh Buxton 108,000. Your Rob in your team also got 100,000.
Yeah.
Then we had a few. So Dave Durnley did 109,000, and then we had the top 3. So I got Rav, who must be, I don't know how, did 131,393 and came third.
Wow. Yeah. Devastated.
Yeah. Somehow beaten by his teammate, who I've seen the Strada maps from teammate. I can't remember who sent me this, but George Geimer, who, as far as I'm aware, was away for work in London, had 148,123 steps and was second, unbelievably. And then in first place with, I know how he's done this, and I have gone through it with him, so I know it's accurate. But 210,949 steps for Rob Hodge, who walks literally everywhere.
Yeah.
So I know he walks to and from Little Down, plus playing an hour of football at least twice during that period. Plus, I know he did quite a lot of other walking as well. Yeah. So I can understand where it's come from, but 210,000 steps is just. Also, I will say, and this is maybe the only slight I have on a steps challenge, and that is because he's vertically challenged, we will say, his stride isn't quite as long. So in theory, he'll do 50% more steps than I would do to cover the same distance.
Yeah.
Or someone a bit taller than me, probably. I don't know the maths precisely, but because
there's a chance that George's numbers were significantly more in Rob's.
Even accounting for that, it would still give Rob like 160 or 1,000. Yeah. If it was 50%, so something like that. Yeah, even a third of it came off. So, it's still a very, very impressive.
Insane, so good.
So I don't know what happened with the last steps challenge, because his name wasn't really involved. I don't know if he wasn't tracking him right, but
I can't remember who won it. Did Paul Briggs did well last time though, as well, didn't he? Am I right in thinking?
Yes, Paul Briggsy did over 100,000 last time.
So they're similar in stature, aren't they?
He did 96,000 this time, Paul Briggs.
Did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
they're similar in height, I think. So that maybe you may be right on that mindset with the distance travelled may very well be similar to somebody or attuned to somebody else's quarter off it, if that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know the maths. I could be wrong on that, but it's just a thought. Because
I'm sure it must
measure
be.
it based on his stride. So in terms of distance covered, it'll be very similar, but
it must be, yeah. Because myself on my Apple Watch, my wife's got one as well, and so we've paired them together so you can see what distance the other one's done or how many steps the other one's done. And when we go on walks together, I'd be like, "How many steps is that for you?" And she's quite a bit shorter, so she was kind of almost sometimes doubling what I was doing, and we were just doing the same walk, literally the same walk together. So it can happen. It certainly can happen.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was still mightily impressive. Absolutely insane.
Regardless, yeah.
Just so very well done. So he got a bonus goal for the Greens that week. The Greens, because they came second, got the other bonus goal, second place, and then the Oranges got 2 bonus goals this last week for their total average overall. So very well done. Very well done all around. And thank you to everyone who got involved. And the spirit, again, was fantastic. And generally, I had a lot of people involved, even outside of these 5 out of 5 that were submitted. So it's very good going. Again, close to 3 million steps.
Yeah. I think, I know that we spoke last week about the end of rotation kind of charity build up, whatever we're going to do. I think we should try and factor in something around steps and sponsored steps or something that we could try and get, because if you look at the numbers that we're putting in, I know Yeovil were freakishly high with the amount of steps and distances we're traveling or walking, I should say. We've got the ability to raise some good money on that, but also do some good things for ourselves as well in terms of fitness and health. So definitely worth something considering, I think.
Yeah, I think a steps challenge was something that I had on my mind as a season-long thing next year, outside of the goals challenges. I'm not really 100% certain how to incorporate this. I haven't given it any serious thoughts. So anyone out there who's got any ideas about how we do this? Again, you were talking on the charity elements, a very good angle, and I hadn't actually considered that. So it's a good way to go. But just how we accomplish this as a group, something, set a target or do something like that would be amazing. So something to think over the Christmas break. Yeah. Good. Anyway, that's that for the challenge.
Nice.
On to our guest.
Yeah, so Adam, thank you again for joining us, mate. We do appreciate it. Somebody that's been with the club, well, you'll talk more about it, been with the club for a considerable amount of time, somebody we've always wanted to have on the pod. So, we do really appreciate it. Can we start by finding out who you support? Who is your football team, if you have one?
The almighty AFCB, mate.
Love it.
Hey.
Brilliant. And you are a season ticket holder, aren't you?
Yeah.
North Stand?
Not anymore. Used to be. Miss it.
Okay.
Because I go with my aunt. She's got all of the fake joints, so she can't quite manage the stairs anymore.
Okay.
Switched over to the South Stand now.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Still
Lovely
good
stuff. Good. And do you have a favourite player, current or past favourite player? I bet you have quite a few, don't you?
Yeah, this is a challenge. I think growing up, my favourite player was always Jamie Hayter.
Hey.
I don't know why, but I've never been a striker. I've never even remotely resembled a striker, but he was brilliant. He
ran like a farmer, did he?
Yeah.
he basically was a farmer. From what I know, I think he's from the Isle of Wight, and he's just a funny old fellow, and funny looking, ran like a farmer, and definitely knew where the back of the net was.
Fastest hat trick ever.
Yeah, still.
League, I think.
Football league, yeah.
Current players, Lewis Cook probably.
Yeah.
That's just because he's brilliant, and when he loses, I love it when he loses his rag because he just becomes like he looks like such a nice bloke, but he can be incredibly aggressive on a football pitch. And
he left one on Ryan Fraser, didn't he? I think he would go down in
I better love
whole
that.
history. Absolute hero for that. I actually bumped into him one time. I think we took Ethan, me and Luke took Ethan, my eldest, to a game, and we were there really early, and we were walking around, and we actually met him outside of the kind of like the little DC lounge, the disabled lounge that Jordan used to work in. and his knee was still in thing, and he stopped and had a chat with us, and it was genuinely a really, really nice guy, like just so easy to talk to and so good with like interacting with people as you'd expect him to be anyway, because they appreciate that people are going to recognise them and must have these interactions all the time. But yeah, he was chatting away to Ethan. He's like, "Are you looking forward to the game? What do you think the score's going to be?" That sort of thing. And yeah, gave us a time of day where we're kind of like, "Oh, look, it's Lewis," and he had a photo of Ethan and signed his shirt and stuff. It was really nice, really sweet. And yeah, I've always really, really liked him. And he, I did hear a rumor though that he might have had a bust up with somebody. That's why he didn't play at the weekend.
So yeah, I've seen people saying injured, but then
I can't remember. I'm sure there's lots of rumours. It's not normally us that get the rumours about us, but I think something to do with a bust up with somebody, an argument with somebody that meant he got dropped, and Tyler Adams played instead, and it clearly worked. But yeah, I think he's quality, and I look forward to him chopping Maddison tomorrow, hopefully. Snapping him in half. We'll see. And back to AFC Bournemouth for you, mate. And is there an outstanding moment for you? Is there something that you don't think you'll ever forget moment with AFC Bournemouth? And I must say as well, you obviously do the home games. You do a lot of away games as well. So you've seen the good and the bad and the ugly. I'm sure there's lots you've seen. But is there only one moment that stands out if you could pick one?
There's a couple. The easy one, easy two. I went to playoff final at the Millennium Stadium. Mm-hmm. That was incredible. But I was young enough that I don't really remember it, like the match so much. But that was the first time I'd been in a big stadium. Yeah. So that atmosphere sort of stuck with me. But then the one that's sort of clear in my mind is Charlton away when we got promoted. Yeah, because we won the game, we were second, and then because the other game was still going on, it was like a couple of minutes later, it starts filtering through that, oh, actually we've won it, and it was party number 2 kind of thing, and it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so but you'd already been promoted, hadn't you? Yeah, so you were there going and hoping that Sheffield Wednesday would do a job against Watford, and I think they scored, if my memory serves me right, they scored quite late to win it, and that meant you snatched the title off of Watford. And the game at the Millennium Stadium, if I remember right, I think it was Lincoln. Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. And I'm thinking it was 5-2 or something crazy.
1, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not a bad memory. I wasn't even there either. I wasn't even there. I was meant to be there. My family went. I was on a ski holiday with school, so I missed it. And it was quite a moment. And the reason why I remember it being Lincoln is that the teacher that took us on the ski holiday was a Lincoln fan, so he just got absolutely battered. It was brilliant. But yeah, sick, mate. So and I'm sure the list goes on. And where do the recent games against Arsenal and City rank within that in terms of moments and memories for you? Do you think
beating Arsenal is no big deal, is it? Let's be honest.
I walked into that one, didn't
I? They're especially the City game, because we have been battered. Not only have we not beaten them, but we've consistently been battered by them. Yeah. And in that game, especially before they scored, I think we nearly scored the third one, and it just went wide. And it genuinely felt like we could run away with the game.
Yeah. And Adam Smith missed a sitter, I think, if I remember right, right in front of the North Stand. It was just come at him too quickly, didn't it?
Yeah. And like that's just not an expectation when you watch a Bournemouth game. So yeah, to be fair, that was incredible. And I think I said about 1,000 times, this is mental. Like, just turned to my aunt and was like, what are we watching?
You've obviously seen the transition over from old ownership in terms of Max and Denham into Bill Foley's tenureship as the owner of the club. How do you think things have changed? Do you think things have changed for the positive around the club and the feel around the club?
In the majority, yeah. The big difference is Foley's an American, basically. It feels very American. It feels like he's going at it and wants everyone to see that he's making changes and he's improving things. And a lot of that is brilliant. Like renovating the stands and stuff, making it neater and tidier and painting it. But then at the same time, there's always that worry that we're going to lose that little sort of element of the family club and
the soul.
The local.
It's an essence of being a British club, isn't it? A British kind of. Yeah.
So far, I think he's just about getting up to the line without jumping over it. But we'll see what the future holds.
There's a few noticeable differences from my part, and obviously I'm not an every weeker, so I think those changes are quite obvious when I go and haven't been for like half a season or whatever it is. And the whole gazebos out the back of the south stand and selling those tickets, because if I log on I can get that ticket if I want. I don't have to have any points. I get that ticket if I want, but I pay 85-90 quid for it. I forgot what it's called, like King's Plaza, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Something like that. With
they
booze
call
and...
it, but it ain't hospital. Well, I suppose it is because you get your booze and food, but
yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and the other thing I noticed is, and this is from knowing how things were with Jordan when Jordan was working there, is that the community aspect of it, the availability and the ability for people that work there to be able to get the occasional ticket for a friend and things like that, that has been shut down entirely. And I get that it's a business, and I get that that's how he wants to run it. And I think he sees every penny. I think he counts every penny and wants every penny to count. And that's it makes sense, but it's just different. There's something I've noticed in terms of a difference. And the only other thing as I've noticed is when you win, you get the cherries thing, the Las Vegas cherries thing come up on the screen, which is actually quite funny. I quite like it, with the 3 cherries in a row and plus 3 points and whatever. But there is an element of Americanism around a lot of the things that he's done, but I don't think a lot of it is overly negative at the moment. And I like the conversations that he's had when being asked about playing games in the States and stuff like that, that he believes that the EPL belongs here, not abroad, and not playing games across there. That may change, I think, if he's paid enough by other owners to change his mind. But at the moment, he was quite honest about that, which was quite refreshing.
He seems to be the only American owner who seems to go down that route, and he.
Although
the others are quite quiet on it, he's been quite vocal on it.
Yeah,
so I think
he's turned around and said he doesn't want, because they've suggested all-star games and shit like that as well. And he's just like, I'm not interested in that. That's not what the Premier League is about, and that's not what my club, as he kept referring to, which was quite nice. I think he feels like he's part of it now. So yeah, that's interesting, mate. And it is good to have another Bournemouth fan on, and somebody that goes regularly as well, or goes all the time, is awesome too. So appreciate that. So hopefully everybody that didn't know that Adam was a regular at AFC Bournemouth does now, and he's a very passionate fan and certainly knows his stuff when it comes to AFC Bournemouth as well. So good stuff. Yeah. So before we move on, go on.
Well, I was going to say, just quickly before we move on, just a couple of seconds. How are you feeling the season's currently going, Bournemouth, so far? What are your expectations? What do you want, rather than expectations, I guess, rather.
Are you renewing your passport like Jimmy, ready to do a European tour? Or are you a bit more realistic?
Did you not see me after the City win? Jimmy was like, Europa League, here we come. I was like, no, hang on, mate, we're only 1 point behind Champions League.
Fair enough.
Realistically, the same as it's been for a while, top 10. Try and sort of cement ourselves as a top 10 team would be very, very nice. And just not fighting relegation is happy days for me. Like I've been watching since I was like 12. There wasn't a universe that I thought I'd be watching us play in the Premier League. So that I don't need more than that, to be honest.
I was going to say, I mean, it's just nice to go to a game and not feel like I watch enough of them to feel you can get a result pretty much against anyone. Okay, Man City and Arsenal, but that's a first, I think, in quite a while. even including some parts of last season. So I was just like, it's nice to not even consider the idea that you get relegated. I just don't think it's in the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite nice to see a decent cup run, and maybe even a trip to Wembley that isn't just playing Spurs because they've adopted it as a temporary home. Do you know what I mean? Playing at Wembley because you deserve to be there for a semi-final or something. That'd be quite nice. But I think you can get greedy with things like that, can't you? I think it's like you say, the realistic is knowing your place and appreciating it and staying in the league as long as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
The last thing I was going to ask about with AFC Bournemouth is Iraola. So it's well publicised that I suggested that he was the wrong person for the job when he started.
About 5 weeks into last season.
I'll never be let to live that down. And I think he's brilliant. I think he comes across as a really decent person as well, and somebody that has taken on the ethos of the club, like you mentioned about the family side of things. What are your thoughts on Iraola?
Again, love him. Absolutely love him. Like, I was also one of the people, I wasn't quite at the point that I thought he might be the wrong guy, but I was getting nervous when he first came in, that maybe it would not go as well as we had sort of hoped. But then he turned it around, and since he did turn like that, not even a bad start, but just a not perfect start, he's been absolutely fucking brilliant, to be honest. It's enjoyable football to watch. It's working. We're competing in games. I can't ask for any more, really. Yeah.
The occasional weird little result, like losing away to Leicester, and that performance, from what I think you were there, weren't you? The performance wasn't great by all accounts. Those do still exist, but I think they're few and far between now. I had a feeling that Wolves might have been one of those ones, but that was very quickly proven wrong at the weekend. So it's it's good. It's good times, I think, and it's exciting times. And I don't think anybody will ever replace what Eddie did for the club, but Iraola certainly has been taken to the Bournemouth fans' hearts by all accounts.
Well, the biggest problem I foresee is that if Bournemouth do really well and consistently really well, let's just say they get Europa League and things like that. I'm hoping he'd stay. I assume he'd stay, but is it one of these things where people would start going, "Oh, look, wait, hang on a second"?
Yeah.
I know I'm getting more pessimistic, and it's all down the line, but it's just
it makes sense, though, mate. It's definitely something that's worth considering. It's a worrying thought, especially when Bournemouth are sitting at the top of a lot of the tables for pressing, distance covered, all of the things that seem to be not necessarily fashionable, but seem to be winning them the games with a squad that isn't the best squad in the league. You're beating teams that are comfortably much better because you're working harder, and that makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The squad is good, though. Good load of young players.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. You've got a few players within that. Sorry to jump in, Ads. You've got players like Kirkes, Zabanye, and Semenyo, the type of players that are going to be starting to be looked at, same as Iraola will be, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's the reality of the club that we are. Like we're never going to hold on to our best players forever, but hopefully we can hold on to them long enough that we can do well, and then get in a new guy to develop and come into that role. So
get the right money for them, and then find somebody that's going to make it and take the next step forward. Yeah.
Well, Evan Nilsson for Solanke. So that's a good example so far.
Yeah, it's not a bad swap so far, I don't think either. He looked a little cold to start with, but he seems to be pretty good. And we'll see how it goes. Excellent. Okay, Josh, do you want to ask some questions from Adam about his journey so far with
Man v Fat then, unfortunately, Adam. We've gone through our Bournemouth bit for now. Get to the serious stuff. I guess we don't really ask this often enough. Your history with weight. Have you got a particular history with being overweight, or have you not had it before and you just put on some weight? Where should we start there? Where's your history with it?
As a kid, I was very fit, like basically did sport all the time. I ate all the time as well, but I was constantly active, so it was never really an issue. In fact, I was once non-ironically described as hench in college. Because I started, well, not bodybuilding, but lifting weights like 15, 16, and I had the image of a six-pack. It wasn't quite a six-pack, but you could see the outlines once upon a time.
That's better than it's ever been for me, mate.
Oh, same, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But then I went to college, stopped all the sport, did 4 different sort of sitting down learning kind of things, but didn't slow down on the eating, so it reversed pretty fucking hard and fast. So yeah, as an adult, I've been between podgy and big the entire time, really. I've had waves of losing weight. I've done Slimming World and stuff. I did PT and stuff, got in shape for my brother's wedding, but it's never sort of stayed off. It's just...
Yeah. I was going to say, how does Slimming World work for you then? Because we've had a few people on here who said they've tried Slimming World before and it wasn't quite for them, and that's, the general theme.
So when I was doing it, it worked. Like I like eating, and I eat all the food. But if I tell myself that this is what I'm going to eat, I'm quite good at sticking to it. So I found it quite easy to follow their sort of diet plan. And I did lose a bunch of weight, but it made me just miserable, basically, because even now I refuse to call what I'm doing now a diet, because the second you use the word diet, you're denying yourself stuff.
And that restriction. It just sounds like restriction, basically, isn't it? It's diet. It's another term. So.
I can do it. Like, I'm capable of going, no, I'm not going to have that food. But eating brings me joy. So just saying, no, I'm not having that all the time, eventually it just makes me miserable. And then you have a big, rejection to it. So Slimming World was fine until I'd had enough. I stopped doing it and then immediately just piled the weight back on, even though I'd had this sort of framework of eat these things, don't eat these things. I just didn't want to anymore because it didn't make me feel good.
Yeah. And you mentioned PT there. Do you still do PT? Is that something you always, or is that something, again, was that more I tried to do it with exercise instead?
Yeah, so that was more of a moment in time kind of thing. My brother was getting married. He wanted to lose a bit of weight. I wanted to lose a bit of weight. So we started doing this PT, and he did meal plans for us and stuff, and hitting the gym. And again, I don't mind the gym. Like when I'm there, it's fine. I quite enjoy it, but I don't ever want to go there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't be asked to go to the gym and start doing the weights and start. Like I say, I started doing weights quite young and enjoyed it, but it doesn't draw me back in, so it doesn't work long term for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, and so how do we get to Man v Fat then? Is that the last and only thing you've had on your journey so far in terms of weight?
Yeah, most recent? So yeah, definitely the most recent. I was playing, like I said, at school I played football all the time, went to college, started working, basically stopped completely. And I missed it a bit. And then I was kicking a ball around with my nephew in the garden. And when I say kicking the ball, I was literally stood still, passing it back and forward 2 yards for about 20 minutes. And I was out of breath. My hips hurt. I was in genuine pain from standing still and passing the ball back. And I thought, Jesus, I've got to do something, because this ain't sort of reliable. And I've got 5 nieces and nephews now. And I don't want to just feel like I'm dying every time I try and interact with them in any sort of physical activity. So I started looking for ways to play football again, but I was hesitant to join the normal league, because I did again join a five-a-side down Bournemouth Uni with a bunch of people. None of us were particularly good at football. It was very thrown together, but the problem was that there was 6 or 7 other teams, 3 of which were very good level, and all of them were just pricks.
Well, you should about say that. When was this? BU five-a-sides. Can you remember when this was?
Probably about a year before I joined Man v Fat. So
what was that?
About 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, something like that. Were you one of the showbirds, Josh?
No, I just remember playing five-a-side football a lot at BU around that time.
Yeah.
And I was in a league at one point, so I might have run into you. I might have been a prick. Yeah, you never know. But I was an overweight prick, I tell you. So
yeah, might have been one or two of the teams that weren't arseholes, but there was one particular team that I think they were like reserves for an actual like semi-pro team, and they were just arseholes. Like they were 6-0 up, and still like being dicks about it, and it's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find something that was a bit different, and then Facebook, the good old algorithm, threw up Man v Fat, and I thought, well, hopefully that'll be a good balance between the two. And it was never really the priority wasn't ever losing weight when I first signed up, and actually I still don't think it is now. It's sort of a necessary benefit. Like I knew I needed to lose a bit of weight, but that wasn't what I was desperate for. I was desperate to get fitter and feel like I could move around, and then naturally with that I knew I'd lose some weight, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
okay.
why I.
So you say that was what? So were you there at the beginning then with Jack in that very beginning?
Yeah, from the very start. Yeah.
One.
I think I've got a photo on our Lose to Win Instagram. I kind of stitched a photo of all of us together. I think on the first night.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those ones. Very interesting to see the faces that are still about.
The Into My Belly, G Reds. I was trying to work this out. There's still quite a few of us left because there's me, Neil, Dan, Jesus.
Might be able to have a look at the picture quickly. Dimmy, I think.
He was there. He wasn't a red. I think he was.
Oh, sorry.
Orange before it left and came back again.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Have you been Reds twice then?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense then, because I was going to say I joined when you were a red, I think, but the second time. Or was it? No, it's before that, but I know you have been then. So.
I think the
picture I can see is you, Neil, Jesus, and Dan, and somebody else, a guy in a Liverpool shirt, but life for me couldn't remember his name.
I think it might be Carl or
that rings a bell. But you got people. You got Dimmy and Rav in that picture as well. You've got Charlie. You've got Clisty. You've got Steve. You've got Dave.
Yeah.
Bill, Dan Keats, me, Russ Keats, Ben, Rambo, Jet, George, and Luke Cage. I think that's it.
Yeah, Bill was an honorary red because he was in our team for about 3 days, and then he got moved to another team before the league actually started.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
and then it would ring us every week, so we just chucked him in goal every week for us.
Yeah. So with my recent time away from the club, I think I said it to you on a Tuesday or Thursday night. We pause it there, shall we?
Yeah.
We've lost him.
Don't know what happened.
It's okay.
All right.
Josh will just cut it, so I'll say again. I'll start again. So with my recent time away from the club, I think I saw you I come down to watch one of the Thursday nights or something. You were the person that jumped out at me that I noticed the most in terms of a transformation on how you looked. Is it fair for me to say that it's kind of ramped up this last season, do you think, or a bit more? Is that probably right?
This season's been a massive, like, not even remotely close. It's been the most successful weight loss I've had. Because before I was basically averaging about 5% per team rotation. Okay. And I was fine with that because I'm a big advocate of the slow and steady. Like I said, I refuse to call what I'm doing a diet. So I'm not trying to hit these massive gains, losses rather. But so I was trundling quite happily. But then my last rotation, so Reds, the second time round as Reds, I didn't hit a 5%, and I was incredibly annoyed by that. I just sort of hit a plateau for a very long time, and I'd go up a bit, go down a bit, and never really got anywhere. So then when this rotation started, I was determined to get to that 15% as it was then, because I was only sort of 2 kilos away, and I'd been 2 kilos, I think, pretty much all of my run in the team rotation before. I didn't quite make it the first season, but then that meant I hit it the first week of this season. And in my head, I was like, great, job done. Everything else is sort of beneficial now for the rest of this run. But Rav, being the motivational arsehole he is, immediately comes out with, well, you've got plenty of time to hit your 20% then, don't you, mate? I was like, oh, fuck. Because before he said that, it wasn't even a thought that would have crossed my mind to even try and aim for 20 before I'd left this rotation, to be honest. I wouldn't have been in my head about it. But then he said that, and I thought, okay, maybe I can do that. So then I started going for it, and I managed it, and with 2 weeks to spare, which I'm blown away by. So yeah, I've basically done in this season what I've previously been doing over 3 seasons. So
wow,
yeah,
amazing, mate. So does that attribute to the work that you've done? Is that I'm sure everybody else in the Oranges have been inspired and motivated by Rav and the way that he is, because you clearly have done something. If you look at the results that you guys have achieved, you've obviously won the Scales League already, but some of the actual scores that you guys have been producing have just been insane. Like the numbers, I think we commented on here, I think there was 3 consecutive weeks it was like 22 to 25 plus. And you clearly are doing something right. Is that, do you think you've clicked at the right time? Have you found the team, each of you have found the team that works for each other?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Like our team is definitely, it's not that, like, because all of my teams have been brilliant, but it's felt like the most determined to do well on the Scales team. I think the fact that we're the only team without a keeper, and none of us particularly, apart from Gaz, because what can't that man do? None of us are very good at goal. So I in my head, I kind of wrote off the pitch league about 2 weeks in, because it didn't feel like we had a chance, just because we were conceding 2 or 3 goals that any sort of half decent keeper would be stopping every week. Yeah. So then I think that pulled the team's focus as a whole onto the Scales. It's like, well, we can control that. We can do well here. We can push. And we had some early results on the Scales, which is always helps you get, like, if you can get the first 2 or 3 wins, that gives you a big platform to go forward. And then on a personal level, Rav, I think, is one of those guys that just, you can't help but feel motivated when you talk to him.
Yeah.
But then I also took over the captaincy. I cannot remember if it was at the start of this season or the end of last season, but that added a desire to make sure I was sort of leading by example, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you reckon that's helped you then, be captain? I guess in theory,
it's helped me on the Scales. I don't know if I've got the energy to keep doing it though. Because I have found this season exhausting, because I've been so focused on the weight loss, which has helped me, but it's also I just feel tired, basically.
Yeah. Well, losing weight's hard work, mate. Who would want to do it? No, but well, that's what we're here for. I mean, so I was going to say then. So you were saying you've hit your 20%. You're less 7 or 8 kilos this season, I think it is then.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest secret this season then? Is it, as we were just discussing, is it just the team environment? Is it being a captain? Is it Rav? Is it what do you think it is, if you could pinpoint?
I don't think I've drastically changed anything in terms of my sort of day-to-day, because I've where I live on my own and I can't stand cooking. I've always, for the last couple of years, I've been trying various like meal prep places that just basically deliver you your food and you warm it up effectively, which helps calorie counting because you know what you've got. So that hasn't changed massively. But the thing that has changed this season is it has been my focus. So previously, if I'd had like a bad weekend, I wouldn't like just rule out the week, but I also wouldn't try extra hard to counter that. I'd have my bad day and then carry on as normal and just sort of see what happened. And if I was up, but I wouldn't overly worry about it because, like I said, losing weight has never been the sole end goal of my time in Man V Fat. Whereas this season, because we've been doing so well on the scales, because I want to lead by example for the rest of my team, and last man standing, I've never got this far in last man standing, so that's also been a big driver.
Yeah.
When I've had a heavy weekend, like I had 2 in a row actually the last couple of weeks before this week, I've gone hard to make sure that balances out at the back end of the week. A lot harder than I would have ever done previously, which I think is part of also why it's felt quite draining. The fact that I've been having to do more than I would normally, kind of thing. But it's had the result.
What have you got in mind? Any goals, future goals in particular? Anything short term? Anything long term? I know you say the weight isn't the 100% reason why you're involved, but have you got any particular weight goals or?
Yeah, so when I started, 25% was the number, because I realized quite early when with my start weight, basically 5% is a stone, pretty much bang on. So that will get me to 15 stone. 15 stone, which is the lightest I can remember me being. So when I first started, that was sort of the number that I thought could exist in the background. I wasn't confident I'd ever get there, but
you're not far away now. You've hit your 20, so it's another stone, as you say. So
it feels a lot more real now than it even did sort of last season, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see. And then at that point, I can't imagine I'd ever get to the sort of healthy BMI, just because I think for that I'd have to be a lot lighter than I think I'd be good at. But then, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's different, isn't it? I would look at some people and we know that maybe maintenance is not the ultimate target. It's based on your build sometimes. If you think about it. Now, I'm good. John won't mind. I'm going to use him as an example. He's quite a muscular man. So quite a bit of his weight on him is muscle. And so, but that affects his BMI because ultimately it's weight versus your height, etc. So he won't necessarily maybe feel that maintenance is stuff because it might just be maybe too thin, almost essentially, because he's still going to have that muscle, so he's still going to weigh a certain amount. It's just so it might be just a little bit heavier than he was thinking. It depends on people, So
absolutely.
Wherever your goal is, your goal as such. It doesn't always have to be. Ultimately, everyone just wants to be healthier. Yes, they want to lose some weight, but in the right ways and for them that works in their life and to their goals. And so
exactly,
I commend you and everyone else. I did want to ask, have you had any particular struggles over your time? Is there anything in particular that you really struggled with or you still struggle with day to day? Anything you find yourself doing that you shouldn't?
I mean, I know I shouldn't do it, but I don't consider it a struggle. Is that every Friday after football, I hit a takeaway, and
I mean, who doesn't? I speak to so many people in the league.
Exactly. So. I eat big on a Friday night, but I consider it my treat night. And at the moment, I'm still losing weight, so happy days.
Fair play.
So I don't think I have any specific struggles in that sense. I have things that I want to be careful to avoid because I can have quite an obsessive behavior if I sort of let myself get there, which is partly why I don't like thinking about what I'm doing as a diet, because I then worry I'll become overly focused on it and Whereas if I just consider it, I'm basically just thinking about what I eat instead of just shoveling it in. So there's lots of things that I try and avoid doing to make sure that I'm doing things sort of the healthy way rather than going mental. So like I try and avoid getting stuck in a, eat heavy on a Friday night, and then by the time it gets around to Wednesday or Thursday, you're eating nothing kind of thing. I try and avoid that if I can. I have this season because I've been more focused on it. There's been a couple of days where I've done a full like no food, no water fast kind of thing for a day. But then the next week I've gone back to normal, so I feel okay about it because it's just I've counted a particular dodgy week. But I think I'm always very hyper focused on not making that a habit. Just because for me, I want to try and avoid that if I can. But yeah, it's not really.
That's all sensible stuff.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's again, to each their own, I guess. You're saying about, I always think it's quite fascinating, the whole thing, and not thinking of a diet, because I've always gone through my journey thinking to myself, I don't want to think of it like that because I will then start either being overly restrictive, or I'll be in my own head about it. So I'd be very much in my own head going, I'm on a diet, therefore and the word diet is almost it's a bit of a buzzword, but it's one of these ones where just by saying that very word, it makes me have a negative connotation. No one thinks a diet's good, like they want to diet. No one wants to diet. They use that word to them means pain and suffering, restriction, and various other things sometimes, or not for everyone maybe, but so I can completely understand that part entirely. So maybe I should really be thinking a bit like that, and then maybe be a little bit less, because it's a case of, so long as you're still focused on what you're putting in your body to some extent, as long as you can get over in your own head about, it's a diet or not, it's not a diet, then I can see how that can be beneficial. So
absolutely.
Another way to look at it. Another top tip from one of our guests.
Amazing. Excellent. Okay. So from our perspective, I think we've covered off everything, Adam. I think we've covered the football side of things and your weight loss journey side of things. I think that hits it on the nail, really, doesn't it, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. You've even gone through some of the questions I already had, which were about your team's success and how you've done this season, and you still could be even more successful. Win that title, mate. You can't let Ben win it. I just won't be able to hear the end of it.
Not another one for Ben.
We didn't even realise it was going to be, like I said, we were so focused on the Scales League, and then we started realising that because we had last man standing, and that kicked in relatively early this season, we were like, actually, if we can just keep pitch scores tight, we can really have a push in the main league, and then that's what's happened. So
I think that's where quite a few teams' focus should be in some of the, and almost as we were the same. So Yellows, when we very first started, our focus was very much, let's keep the pitch tight. When we did so well on the Scales for the first 7 or 8 weeks of the season, and we were smashing it, and then it dropped off slightly. A few people went on holiday, etc., and then you get into a bad habit. But ultimately, we know we can do it, and it's the same with any team. Everyone should be confident you can do it once you just understand that it's really, as you've done, it's about the weight. It's all about the weight. It's not really the pitch. Yes, there are some freak results. We get it. Sometimes the Blacks smash people 7 or 8-0, or whatever it's going to be. I'm not saying they do, but I'm just saying sometimes you're going to run into that, and that might be a bad week. But it doesn't necessarily mean you've had a bad week just because you've been beaten on the pitch. It's a case of, like you guys, you're smashing out scores of 25 plus all the time. And other teams can do it.
I think the important thing to know as well is that you say about there can be freak results, but also there's times that people win the league and then it's not by accident. So whoever wins inevitably wins out of you or purples for this main league. It's not going to be an accident. It's going to be well deserved, isn't it? Because it does. Absolutely. An accident doesn't happen over 14 weeks. That's the kind of flip side of that. So I know we joke about Ben winning it, but regardless, whoever wins it's going to be well deserving of that win, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they do win it, I think they're second behind us on the scales, and I think they've lost more weight as a team, and they're doing really well on the pitch. So I mean, you could argue that they probably deserve it more, but I ain't listening to that.
But don't subscribe.
Look, it's the only honour I've not won yet. I mean, I won a couple of cups before that didn't exist, and this is the second time winning the scales after my glorious leader Josh in the Yellows captained us for the scales victory.
Yeah. Oh, did we win that season?
Yeah. So it's only the combined league that I've not won yet. So got to round out the trophy cabinet, don't we?
Yeah, I love it.
What I was going to say, one thing that someone did mention to me the other day, and it goes back to your conversation about who you have as. I don't know if you mentioned it, to be fair, someone about who you have in your team, because there are a few people in the league who've had consistently been involved in quite a few of the Scales League's wins. Rav is probably a fantastic example of that. I think he was on the Greens last rotation, wasn't he, when they smashed the Scales League? Did they win it twice or something in a row? I don't know, can't remember. But, so there's obviously something to be said about having the right people in your team, but at the same time, I would just say anyone can be that person. If you're unsure, speak to someone like Rav, who's been there, done it a million times. He'll be able to tell you. He'll be able to tell you exactly what he does. But more than to that, he'll be able to tell you exactly how he is within the team, whether it's be the chats or on the nights around the pitch side, etc. And there are a few people I think in the league who seem to follow, or the titles seem to follow them.
Yeah,
and that is not a coincidence.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. So we can all rally behind people like that, but there's plenty of people like that in the league. It's not just a few.
Absolutely,
so, yeah. So
lovely stuff.
I'm so thrilled that you're doing so well, mate.
Yeah,
and as you as a team as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Definitely. Right. Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for joining us, mate. We do really appreciate it, and thank you very much everybody for listening. Ben should be back next week, and I'm planning on having everything sorted for our Christmas treat calorie game to see how you guys fare with that, but also help anybody that might be reaching for something they didn't realise was so calorific.
Not those mince pies, man.
No, not the mince pies. Dirty mince pies.
Genuinely made me angry when you said you didn't like mince pies.
I can't stand them, mate, honestly.
Outrageous.
I know. It's sacrilegious, I know, but I'm not a fan. But anyway, yes, have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the football this week on TV, as we're about to go and enjoy the Man United Arsenal game. And we'll see you all Friday.
Cheers, boys.
Excellent. Cheers, boys. Bye.